I am live on YouTube. All right, good morning on YouTube. Let's get hooked up over on Facebook, and the camera doesn't look too bad here. Straighten you out just a little bit. Good morning. I can pull it back. And we look good over on Facebook. All right, here we go. Ready. Cool. All right, pull back just a smidge, of course. What is new? I should make marks on the papers, but then I think my husband might get mad at me. Anyhow, all right. So we're good, right? Good morning. Good morning. Let me see what's going on. So the holidays are almost here. So it says 2 people, but it usually pops up who. So I can't see who's here on Facebook either this morning for some weird reason. Good morning over on YouTube as well. So yeah, the holidays are almost here. It's crazy. Where did 2021 go? I think they say that's what happens when you start to get old, right? Time flies. So, oh, good morning, Cheryl. Yay. Good to see you here. So I always do a special class around this time of year. There's a lot going on, clearly, right? There's obviously the holidays and everything, solstice, right? The fact that these are the shortest days of the year, least amount of light of the year. And there's just, it's the time that everyone kind of looks back and know what happened over the course of the year. And did I do what I wanted to do? Did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? We're not going to look forward so much just yet, but we will do that coming in a couple of weeks. I obviously won't be here with you next week because that's Christmas and I'm doing things with the family. And I would say I would be here on New Year's Day with you, but I'm afraid that's a little overly ambitious. So depending on, if I send out a message or whatever, maybe we'll do a live class on the 1st, but I'm going to probably go with no at this point in time anyway. I don't want to overpromise. So this will be the last class before the holidays occur. So what we try to do this class or this time of year is to be a little bit reflective, right? And without being judgy, right? So when I say, did I accomplish the things I wanted to do this year, right? Or how do I feel about what I did this year? Try and be reflective rather than judgy. Right? So it is or it isn't. Does it matter? Is there anything you can do about it? No. Right? You can change your behavior for next year, right? Or for tomorrow or today even, right? But you can't go back and change anything that has already occurred. Unfortunately. You can't undo. Rewind and retake, right? So be good to yourself and just recognize where you're at. That's all. That's all you have is right this moment. So we're going to try and be really reflective of everything, right? Of where our bodies are in space and whether that is in the proper place at this moment, not whether you suck at a pose. Whether your body is in the proper place. And I a lot of times I'll say, is your body in the right place for you? And even that's a little bit of a judgment, right? So try and feel if this is the good thing for your body at this moment. Right? Does it feel like it's where it's supposed to be right now? So that reflective aspect is really what we're going to practice. And because of that, we're going to keep things very chill, very simple. Okay? And sometimes that allows your mind to wander. So that might be the most difficult part of your practice, okay? To keep your mind focused on what's happening at this moment, because the physicality of it is going to be very simple. Right? Not easy necessarily, but not complicated where you're like, oh, where are my toes? Where's my shoulder? Where's my, that kind of thing. Right? So that's where we're at. See how it goes. And if it doesn't go perfectly, so what? If your mind wanders, if you start to get a little judgy, if you can realize that in the moment, pull it back. At the end of class, when we're through, don't worry about it. It's over, right? So that's where we're going. Let's hit the mat. We're actually going to start today laying down. So go ahead and find comfortable laying back, and if you feel like you need to prop, maybe you put something under your knees, or maybe prop even behind your back so you're not completely reclined. Some people put something behind their head. If that works for you, definitely go and do it. So find a place where your body is aligned on the floor. And take your time adjusting, right? Sometimes you lay back and you don't even realize that maybe your shoulders aren't as open as they can be. Or maybe you're a little crooked, you're leaning more to the right or the left. So take your time. I would occasionally sit back into my Shavasana in class and just fidget because I was not in the proper alignment for my body. Right? And nothing really felt right. So you fidget until you find that place. But once you find that place, you gotta stop doing it. So finding the alignment of your spine. Recognizing the weight distribution on your backside. Good or bad does not matter. And once you find that place, allow the awareness to move to your breath. And notice how the body shifts slightly as you inhale and exhale. And at first it's very subtle because the breath flows very smooth and quiet, right? So then notice how that changes as your inhales get bigger and your exhales get more complete. And even that is pretty subtle, but it does change. Finding your yoga breath, that place that is just beyond comfortable. And staying tuned inward like you are. So if that means leaving your eyes closed, you can leave your eyes closed throughout the course, throughout the practice here today. Because again, it's not going to be terribly complex and we're barely getting up off the mat. So if keeping your eyes closed helps you keep that inward focus, leave them closed. But keep yourself in this place and slowly make your way up to a seated position. Take your time. And allow yourself to sit well here. So the pelvis is grounded, your spine is tall, shoulders and hips are relaxed. You still got those beautiful, beautiful yoga breaths going on. And again, just be reflective of this. And if something needs an adjustment, take an adjustment. As you're sitting well here, let's extend the arms out to the sides, and with an inhale, stretch them up. On the exhale, bring them back down again. Again, like that. Allowing the arms to reflect your breath. Let's go once more. Inhaling back to the top. With the exhale, taking the left hand back to the mat, giving yourself a little tip over to that left side. Still rooted in the pelvis, grow really tall through your spine. And with the next inhale, make your way back up to center again. And switch, taking it over to the right. Big breath. Let's come back to center. And back over to the left. Using your breath, inhale taller. Exhale, see if you can sink in there a little deeper. And then back to the top as you inhale. Taking that idea over to the right. Are you connected? Are you still internally focused? Back up to the middle. And we'll exhale and release. So you can absolutely still have your eyes closed here. We're going to work our way around onto all fours. Taking your time. Grounding into the mat here. Shoulders neutral on the back, the belly's in. And then just flowing into some cat-cow, so inhaling the belly low. And exhaling as you round for your in and out. And as we're taking our attention through the spine, it's really easy to notice the areas that aren't moving, right? They're achy, they're stiff maybe. How about noticing the areas that feel good? Pieces that are working the way you want them to. Let's take one more flow. And then find the center. So keeping the spine long here, we're going to take the left hand, palm face up, and weave it underneath here. Maybe just dropping down to the elbow to begin. If you're feeling it, you can always go ahead and drop down to the shoulder. So we want to rest the head on the floor. We don't want to lean on our head or on our neck. And it's staying even in the knees brings the sensation of the twist. If you just kind of lean over, you lose a little bit of the twist. So try and stay level and even. The spine's nice and long, head and neck is comfortable. If and when you're ready for it, the more you use the floor, the bigger your twist gets. So you can press down into the right hand, press down into the left arm to increase the sensation of the twist. And of course, you can stay here, or you can add on extending the right arm, maybe taking the right knee away from the floor and lifting the toes, adding in the pieces that your body needs. Again, without judging, without thinking I should, or can I, or I could last week and I can't now. Right? None of that. What does your body want to do? Take one more breath here. And unwind from that, making your way back into your all fours. So let's go second side, taking the right hand and waving it under, whether you start just on the forearm or you work all the way down to the shoulder. Check in, keeping the knees even, spine long, those nice big breaths going on. Good morning, guys. And if you want to work deeper, you work deeper. So maybe you press into the right arm more. Maybe you press into the left hand. Maybe you stay even on the knees. Maybe you start lifting away from the floor. Find what it is your body needs. Take another big breath. And then gently release what you got. Coming back into that all fours position again. Let's go ahead and make our way back into a child's pose. And just let the spine lengthen here, sitting the hips back, sinking in toward the mat. Again, if you wanted to start a little bit easier, maybe stacking your fists to rest your forehead on your fists rather than reaching for the floor. If the arms feel better down by your heels or your hands feel better down by your heels. If they're not already, go ahead and stretch the arms out long. We're going to make our way into a down dog. Nice and gentle. And just allow yourself to wiggle and stretch a little bit here. Settling in, pressing down into the mat, sinking the chest back, the heels toward the floor. We'll go ahead and step the left foot forward and we're coming into a lunge. So we're going to take the right knee to the floor, wiggling the toes up so that you have the knee stacked over the ankle here, and just allowing yourself to kind of roll around into your hips a little bit. Let's come to the center, and we're going to take the left leg straight or straightish. Remember, you can prop. You can stay low with your fingertips on the floor. If that doesn't work, you can maybe prop up on the thigh. The leg might not be completely straight. But noticing, right? So if you straighten your leg only by rounding your spine, maybe bend your knee a little bit. Keeping the spine as neutral as you can. Taking a couple nice big breaths. And then bending into the knee again. Feel sinking down without shifting off to one side or the other. Feeling nice and even and stable. Keeping the space in the spine, let's bring the left hand to the hip and add in a little twist, rotating the belly around, side ribs toward the ceiling, drawing the shoulder back. Let's release the twist and we'll take the left leg straight again. And maybe the body's ready for a deeper stretch, but maybe not. See where you are. Bend back into the knee then. Keeping steady through the pelvis, tall through the spine here. You can stay low or climb up. And as you start opening and lifting the chest toward the ceiling, you're going to start feeling more sensation in the hip flexor, your quad probably. You can hang on or maybe reach the arms. You decide. Let's release the arms. We're going to lift the back knee away from the floor, take the hands and walk them around into the center of a straddle. So you can adjust your feet wider or more narrow, you decide. And then hang here. So a little bend in the knee maybe. You can grab opposite elbow here. Just be loose and relaxed. Finding sensations. And then the hands to the mat. We're going to take them and walk them around toward the right foot and lunge toward the back of the mat. Just like we did before, I'm just going to turn around so you're not facing away from the eyes. Allow yourself to just sort of shift and wiggle a little bit. We'll find the center and take the right leg straight. So just like before, maybe the leg isn't straight so the spine can be tall. You're still going to feel a nice stretch in the hamstrings. Being present in your body. Bending back into the knee. Find space in the spine. Let's bring the right hand to the hip and rotate around. Releasing the twist. Let's take the leg straight again. Finding a deeper stretch if the body is ready for that. And then bending back into the knee. Sinking low. Keeping the stability in the lower body, climbing up. Opening the front of the body here, hanging on if you prefer, reaching the arms if that's you today. And even if you give something a go and your body just kind of goes, no, you can always come back. It's okay to be unsure. And if something isn't where it should be, you change it, right? Let's release that. We're going to lift the back knee again and take the hands back around into the straddle. For just a moment, remember, adjust your feet if you need to. Let yourself hang again and notice any differences now. We're going to release the hands back to the mat. Take the index and middle fingers, wrapping them around your big toes. Legs straight if you can manage that. Otherwise, a little bend is fine. Elbows out to the sides. We're going to pull on the toes and draw a little deeper into the fold. Releasing the toes, let's take the fingers to the lower back. Interlace here, draw the shoulder blades toward each other on the back, stretching the knuckles away from the shoulders. Letting them lift up off the lower back if that's what's going to happen. Finding the sensation, feeling the stretch. Connected to those nice big breaths. Releasing the arms. Let's take the hands and walk them back around toward the top of the mat and step back, down dog. Dropping down to the knees, sitting back into our child's pose again. From child's pose here, let's go ahead and shift forward, come into a kneeling plank. And just take a moment, make sure the spine feels long, shoulders are neutral on the back. The hands are nice and even, grounding into the floor. We're going to take the left foot over to the left side of the mat, keeping that knee on the floor. Open the body to the right. So we're on the left hand with the left knee and the right toes at the back of the mat. We're going to bump this up in just a little second, but this is the easier variation for now. Feeling the shoulders stack, the belly's moving. You can, of course, reach the right arm. How about lifting the right leg? Taking the right arm over the ear, stretch long toward the top of the mat. And if you want a little bit more sensation, how about kind of lifting your hips, kicking them up, and reaching the right hand toward the floor, toward the top of your mat-ish, without coming forward. Keep the front of the body open. We'll take one more big breath. And then release that. Coming back into kneeling plank. Let's switch sides. So the right foot over to the right, opening the body to the left. Take a second here, feeling stacked, even. Lifting the arm. Maybe lifting the leg. Taking the arm over the ear to add a little more there. Lifting the hips up, left hand reaching for the top of the mat. If you still need that extra sensation, if you're good, you're good. Let's gently release, coming back into kneeling plank. And then gently take it back into your child's pose again. Allowing your muscles to release. And reflect, was that complicated enough for you? Or maybe we're good for more? So if you do want a little bit more, we're going to bump it up. Otherwise, you can take the same variations again, or you know what? You could just sit back in your child's pose the whole time. So stretching the arms out long if they're not already. This time we're going to come to down dog. Remember, you can be in a kneeling plank if that's you.
So stepping the right foot roughly halfway to the hands, let the toes turn to the right, roll to the outside edge of your left foot, and come into this variation of your side plank. So the left hand is grounded, your belly's pulled in, you can extend the right arm. If you really, really wanted to, you could lift the right foot up off the floor, maybe bring it to the inside of the left leg, or take a full plank if that's where you want to be. We'll take just a couple more breaths here. And then release, making your way back to down dog. So you got the second side. Decide if you want to be on the knees, stepping the left foot forward otherwise. And again, roughly halfway to the hands. We roll to the outside edge of the right foot, flexing that foot nice and firm. And then you decide what pieces to add or not. One more big breath wherever you are. And then release, coming back to down dog. From there, dropping back into your child's pose again. From here, go ahead and sit up on the heels. And if this is like torture, you might want to either prop up or skip the next piece entirely. So if this is just not a happy place for your knees, don't worry about it. And maybe you can sit up on your heels very comfortably, and maybe again you need a prop. You can always sit on a block between your feet to lift your hips a little higher. But today, see if you can open your knees and your feet, keeping them pretty even. So the heels are hugging into the sides of the hips here. And we want to sit up nice and tall. So again, this might be enough. If you want a little bit deeper position, we're going to see if we can loosen up a little bit. So the shins are going to stay where they are. We're going to come forward with the upper body and lay down on the belly. Pressing down into the pelvis. Try not to just squeeze your glutes. And then press yourself back up again and sit back between your heels or on your block or wherever you are. So let's do that again. Come forward. Drop down. Pressing down into the floor. And then pressing back up again. Sitting back between the heels. Let's do that one more time. Come forward. And take it down to the belly. Press down into the mat firmly as you can. Press back up again, sitting back between the heels. So even if this was not great before, maybe it's a little less challenging. A little bit of that forward and back sometimes. Let's bring ourselves into all fours. And if your knees and feet were a little wider, bring them back into alignment here. So knees underneath the hips with the shins parallel to each other back there. We're going to sit back again. And take the hands back by the feet. So you might have them next to your feet. You could have blocks here for sure on either side. You can be touching the soles of your feet if that's you. We want to think keeping the tailbone tucked under so we're not putting any pressure on the lower back. And we're just going to lift the hips up off the heels. Lifting them forward. and then setting them back down again. So let's go a little bit in and out like that. Connect with your breath, lifting up. And then taking it back down again. Let's go a couple more times like that. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, release. One more. Come forward, all the way down, child's pose. Let's lift up into all fours. And we're going to bring the feet up kind of outside, just behind the hands. Right? So this might be the perfect spot. You might want to open your feet a little wider. You might need to bring them in. I like to turn my toes out a little bit. So adjust your feet as you need. Ideally, the feet are going to stay flat on the floor. That may or may not be reality. Keeping the chest forward, start to sink down into your hips. So again, maybe your feet are flat, maybe your hips are nice and low. Maybe you feel like you're about to fall on your bottom. Me too. So the more you come forward with your chest, you're balancing and countering the weight. You can add a little bit of leverage, pushing your arms into your legs, pull your legs back into your arms. Palms coming together, and maybe leading the chest through toward the thumbs. So if your bottom is really, really far away from the floor, just come to a seat. Otherwise, you can fall back because you're pretty close. Right? However you got there, extend the legs out long, and maybe just bounce a little bit. So sitting nice and tall here. We're going to go ahead and extend the legs, flex the feet, reach the arms up, and fold over the legs. So the legs stay straight. Maybe you touch your toes and maybe you don't. It doesn't even matter where your arms are, right? Coming forward, lead with your chest towards your toes. So the spine stays pretty neutral back there, regardless of where the hands go. Big full breaths. With an inhale, we're going to make our way back up. Release your arms. Let's bring the soles of the feet together. And we're going to pull the heels in toward the groin. And the more you pull against your ankles, the taller you can sit, right? So keep that idea. Use your elbows toward the inner hips here and hinge forward. Think belly button to heels. Same idea as before, leading with your chest so your spine stays long. We'll hinge back up. And then take your legs straight-ish, right? Out to the sides. So you're in this straddle. You can turn sideways on your mat, certainly, if you prefer. And you want to be wide enough that you feel a little bit of sensation, but not that you can't sit up tall and that you're completely uncomfortable. Right? So again, reflecting where the body should be, where the body, I hate the word should too, where is appropriate for your body at this moment. So pelvis is upright. Adjust if you need to adjust at any point. Feet are flexed. Let's reach the arms. We're going to rotate the body over toward the left leg here and then fold over the leg. Your hands can come to either side of the leg. Just rooting down through the pelvis and extending out through the spine so that it's the chest leading toward the toes, just like before. If you feel as if you need more sensation, you can use your hands into the mat here. So pressing down a little bit more into that left hand, see if you can feel your belly button rotate around. We'll take another big breath. With an inhale, make your way back up again. Rotate around to the right, and then do the same thing here. So just starting off nice and easy. Finding evenness, length in your spine. Moving into the stretch, using your arms more or less. Another big breath. And then on inhale, making your way back up to the top again, releasing the arms. So let's take the left hand, we're going to pin it up underneath the right thigh here. Reach the right arm up and we're going over toward the left toes, but forget the toes. See if you can bring your left elbow to the inner thigh, maybe even to the floor. And then pressing against the thigh here, rotate your belly and shoulder and chest up toward the ceiling. Feeling even on your pelvis, really tall through your spine. Big breaths. With an inhale, coming back up to the top. Releasing that side, and we'll switch. So the right hand pinned under, left arm is stretching up, and going over. So you wiggle it. Elbow more toward the inner thigh, rotating toward the ceiling a bit more. One more nice big breath. And then hinging back up again. Let's bring the hands center. Really tall. Sit nice and tall. And then hinge forward. So adjusting your feet, adjusting your legs if you feel like you need to, taking the upper body wherever it goes. Finding sensation. Taking one more big breath. And then hinging back up again. Let's bring the legs back together. Bounce them around a little bit. Let's bring the soles of the feet back together again. And if you're far back on your mat, you'll want to scoot forward a little bit because we're going to go back in just a moment. So hang on to your ankles, sit nice and tall here, and lean back enough to balance. From here, C curve through your spine, tuck your chin, and roll on down to your back. Keeping the soles of the feet together, let them come to the floor, and just rest your legs, your hips, your lower belly, your back. Drawing the knees together. And then bringing the knees into the chest and allowing yourself to rock here. So let's keep the thighs in toward the belly here and take the shins vertical. So you can use a strap here for sure. If you don't have a strap, you can use the backs of your thighs, pulling down on the backs of your thighs, or you can reach up and grab for the soles of the feet. Sometimes that makes the spine really round up oddly. So adjust as you need to, right? We're going to pull down on the feet and draw the knees in toward the armpits. So even if you're hanging onto the backs of your thighs or you have a strap, that's the direction. And it might feel like it's easier to have the knees really wide from the body. See if you can actually keep them in pretty tight to the sides here. But then wiggle and play a little bit because, this is silly and goofy. So let yourself be silly and goofy. And see if you can rock yourself side to side. And maybe you need some momentum to get back to the middle, and that's fun. And then come to center and pull down again here enough so that you're even and maybe the knees draw a little bit deeper. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, just noticing. And then instead of hanging onto the feet or the backs of the thighs here, take your index and middle fingers and wrap them around your big toes. Take the legs straighter and wider, whatever that ends up looking like. So maybe they're straight, and maybe they're very wide, and maybe they're barely different from where they were. But then the same idea here, just kind of wiggling, rocking side to side. Can you rock side to side enough that your toes touch the floor? And again, if it takes momentum, it takes momentum. And then find your center again here. And again, whether the legs are wide or straight or not, allow your arms to be heavy. And just so notice the extra stretch that the weight of the arms can give. And if it's too much, it's too much, and you go less. Bending back at the knees, hug them back into center. And again here, whether you're holding on to your feet to the backs of your thighs using your strap, see about pulling down and notice where you are now. And just notice if it's deeper, yes or no. Let's release the feet. Take them to the floor. And then again here, go ahead and bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall to the sides. Bring the knees back together. And let's go ahead and cross the left leg over the right. So here we're going to have the knees pretty tight together. If you're someone who can take your left foot behind your right calf, give that a go. If it doesn't go there, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Extend the arms out to the sides here, and we're going to take the legs over to the right. So if your left foot kind of gets in the way, maybe tuck it under as much as you can, and just let the legs relax to the side. We'll take one more breath. And then bring it back up to the middle. Keep the legs crossed. Take your legs over to the left. One more big breath over here. And we'll come back to the middle again. So let's uncross the legs. Take the right leg over the left. Again, with the knees tight, if you can tuck your foot behind your calf, go ahead and go there. Take the legs left to begin. Taking another breath over on this side. And then coming back to center, keeping the legs crossed. Take the legs over to the right. One last breath over here. And then bring it back to the middle again. Uncrossing the legs. Straightening out on the mat, of course, if you need to. Let's go ahead and bring the knees into the chest and we'll rock a little bit. Let's squeeze in. Pulling the forehead toward the knees. And then stretch out, full body stretch. Releasing the stretch and bringing the arms back down by the sides. And just like we began, take a moment and find alignment for the body on the floor. And if you have to wiggle and adjust and fuss a little bit, let that happen for a little bit.
Once you've found comfortable, relax.
And with that reflective mind, notice how the body feels different now than it did at the beginning when we were in this same place. Using any little tools that you need here to keep the mind present. Allowing yourself a few minutes to rest.